Hello, class. We're talking on the special senses. The special senses include vision, taste, smell, hearing, and equilibrium. Some don't realize equilibrium is part of a special sense. We're going to start first with the eyes. The eye and vision, we can say that 70% of our sensory receptors are in the eye. Half of the cerebral cortex, so other words, is associated with the eye. Okay? That's in the occipital lobe. And most of the eye is protected by a cushion. So, of fat. So let's start with looking at external eye structures in this particular video. We got the eyebrows, the eyelids, which are called the palpebrae, the conjunctiva, the lacrimal apparatus, and the extrinsic eye muscles we'll discuss here. Now, as you see here, let's just look at some structures here as we see. Let me blow it up a little bit. Okay, here are the eyebrows. You know the eyelid. Okay, the eyelid here, which are also called the palpebrae. The space between those is the palpebral fissure. These are the commissures where it comes together. There'll be the lateral and medial commissure, which are also called the canthus. Some will call this the outer canthus and the inner canthus. We also have this fleshy area called the lacrimal coracle that produces some secretions that are both oil and sweat. The white part is called the sclera there. Okay, we have a cornea over there. Palpebral fissures, as I alluded to, between the eyelids. These are the eyelashes. The eyelid has something called a tarsal plate. We'll talk about just in a moment. So these are some structures you can look at. Let's go a little further. The eyebrows overlie the supraorbital margins. The supraorbital margin is over the supraorbital ridge in the bone, and it shades it from sunlight so that it's not a reflectile deal. Prevents perspiration, which would be in the skin, coming to the eye, assist in that. The eyelids here protect the eye anteriorly, separated by this palpebral fissure. So the eyelids, again, are called the palpebrae. Where they come together, called the commissures, also called the canthus. Medial canthus, lateral canthus. We spoke of the lacrimal coracle. Okay, oil and sweat glands are contained there. The tarsal plates is a tough connective tissue which kind of give firmness to the eyelids there. Okay, the tarsal plate connects to these skeletal muscles, which would be the levator palpebrae superioris, which raises the eyelid. And then you also have a muscle called the orbiculus. Let me see if I can find it. Orbicularis oris. Let's go here to this one. This picture here. Orbicularis oculi. I'm saying oris, I'm sorry. Orbicularis oculi muscle. There's an orbicular oris which surrounds the mouth. But the orbicularis oculi muscle surrounds, and when it tightens down, contracts, it closes down and squints the eyelids down. The levator palpebrae superioris muscle raises the eyelid, shall I say. So we have these eyelashes. We have some glands that actually lubricate the eyelashes that we'll call smaller glands or lesser glands. But we also have some tarsal glands. Within the tarsal glands, you have a oily secretion, so this would be kind of a sebaceous secretion, those tarsals, and these glands are in the tarsal plates. They open to the eyelids, but they open into the eyelids posterior to the eyelashes there. They produce a sebaceous secretion, and it kind of keeps the eyelids from sticking together, should we say. Okay. Then between the eyelashes, you also have some ciliary glands that secrete. So the eyelashes themselves have glands just like you would on the head hair that actually lubricate the hair itself. Okay. Now, if you get an infection in the tarsal glands, you get what we call a chalazion. So I'm going to come here. I can. And here's a chalazion here. Okay. And I'm comparing and contrasting that. Let me go down a little bit here so you can see. I'm comparing and contrasting that to a stye. Okay. A stye is when you have an inflammation of the lesser glands in the eyelids and a chalazion of the tarsal glands. And you can see here some of the things that are associated with that. Okay. Go here. Okay, we already talked about the tarsal plates. We come here, levator palpebrae superioris, and the eyelids, lubricate the eye. And what happens is you blink every so often, 3 to 7 seconds, but sometimes more, sometimes less. We already talked about the eyelids. Go a little further, we've looked at that. The conjunctiva is a mucous membrane, a very clear mucous membrane, very thin mucous membrane. And you have inside the inner side of the eyelid, you have the palpebral conjunctiva. And then that folds down like a sheet and comes over the eye except where the cornea is. And you have the bulbar conjunctiva. Now, it's in the conjunctiva that you can see those blood vessels in there. And when it folds, that space between the palpebral conjunctiva and the bulbar conjunctiva is called the conjunctival sac, and that's where you would insert your lens, as far as when you wear a contact lens. Okay. When you get conjunctivitis, picture, you can see that inflammation of that. And again, this is located, that bulbar conjunctiva is located everywhere except where you have the cornea there, that we'll come to in another video. Okay. Now, I come now to the lacrimal apparatus, lacrimation. Okay, here's that caruncle here. So what you have in lacrimation, make it simple, is this. Here would be the lacrimal gland. We're going to pull a vacuum. So here's the lacrimal gland over here. Right here, we have the lacrimal punctum, where lacrimal fluid would go into, then a canaliculus, then a nasolacrimal duct, and then that's going to go in the nostril. Now, let's look at how this is going to work. The lacrimal gland secretes lacrimation pretty much at a constant rate, but sometimes it can increase or decrease. It's the air flowing up and down the nose that would pull a vacuum to pull the lacrimal fluid across the eyeball here, and then go into the punctum, canaliculus, sac, and down and out. And it would lubricate this eye with this lacrimal fluid. The lacrimal fluid itself would have several things in it. It contains lysozyme, which is something to help. It also contains some mucus, some antibodies. Lysozyme kills bacteria, destroys bacteria. So this is what it does. Now, interestingly enough, if you had a big enough gland, and some do, some little kids will put a balloon right here, close the nose, blow, and so the air would go back up. Some even do it and put milk up their nose and go, it gets gross. But anyway, just mentioning. So it's an open space there that can do that. Okay. So that's lacrimation. That means if you have nasal congestion, which will obstruct the nasal passage, then the fluid could not come out, and that's how you would get teary eyes in nasal congestion. Okay. All right. We go a little further here. The extrinsic eye muscles. Okay. We have two kinds of eye muscles dealing with the eye. The extrinsic eye muscles move the eyeball, and the intrinsic eye muscles, which will be in a later video, can, constrict and dilate the pupils, things of this nature. Okay, we have 6 muscles extrinsic to move the eyeball in various directions. We have 4 rectus muscles which will move, and the 4 will be the superior rectus, inferior rectus, lateral rectus, medial rectus. You can imagine the superior would move the eyeball up, inferior down, and vice and so forth. Then we have the oblique muscles which can kind of turn the eyeball. And these are hooked to something called a trochlea, which allow the eyeball to kind of turn and go in different directions versus just going straight up and down and sideways. Okay. So when we come to those particular muscles, here we are here. That would be those lateral rectus, you can see, associated with the eye, how it's associated. Here would be that trochlea. Here would be the oblique. And each of these particular eye muscles, each of these particular eye muscles is operated by a different cranial nerve. Okay, so cranial nerve 3, the oculomotor, operates most of them. But the lateral rectus is operated by cranial nerve 6, which is the abducens. Okay. And the superior oblique is SO4, superior cranial nerve 4, which would be the trochlear nerve. And so in an exam, a neurological exam, and an eye exam too, you can have the patient to look up, look down, look in, so forth like that, to determine if the muscles are working, or if they're not working. And this could be a neurological problem, or it could be a weakness of the eye muscle. Now, if the eye muscle is weak, this is where we get into this. If the eye muscle is weak, then you can get double vision because we are binocular, and we need to focus with both eyes on the same thing. Otherwise, you'll get double vision. And if for some reason it's a congenital condition where an eye muscle is weak, that's what we call strabismus of the eye. Okay, so that gives you an idea of these particular eye muscles there, as you can see. Okay, we'll close here, and then we'll do the structure of the eyeball in a different video.